Hi, I'm Rob Cosman. Welcome to my shop. This is part 3 of our very long series on bandsaws. As I mentioned, I've got 6 of them. I'm going to take you through the process. I'm going to introduce you to each one of the machines. Most of them, they're all older machines. But I'm doing this so that you can see some of the features that I like about them, and hopefully you can find something that has a similar features. And what I forgot to do was turn them on and let it actually run. So this was the Delta 20-inch that we talked about first. Pretty quiet, very little vibration, and it's got a brake on it, but it's not hooked up. No, actually it is a little bit, but it needs some adjustment. This is the 20-inch General that we talked about yesterday. Even less vibration. I don't have a nickel in my pocket. If I did, I could stand it up on there and it wouldn't tip over. Pretty quiet, lovely machine. And the brake works. Shuts down really quick. So this is Poitras. And somebody will tell me that I pronounced it wrong. Started painting it, never got through with it. This is a 24-inch machine. So if you measure this, you've actually got, well, it's a 24-inch, but you've only got 22 inches in the throat. But if you open up the guard, the wheels are actually 24.5 inches. This is a really interesting machine. This company was in Quebec, got purchased by General back in the 80s, I think. I'm not 100% sure. But what's interesting is, or one of the things that's interesting, is that it's all open. So this is exactly how it was made. The only thing we modified is we put a different cover on here because we changed the pulley to slow it down. It was a little too fast. But the whole backside is open. So what I had to do on this, because we use it, the reason why it's so dusty, is we use it for cutting this stuff. This is called swanstone. It's a composite, and this is the material that we make our saw handles out of, or one of them. We use a black one and a white one. And the dust from it is terrible. I can't stand the smell of it. So I went in, and I developed this. In fact, there's a YouTube video that we did on it. So if you come over here, Jake, from behind me, it's a piece of pipe, PVC. It's got a cap on the end, and we just use this to reduce it down to fit the vacuum. And the wooden block right here that this is screwed into, that's on there with this magnets. So it sits in there like that. So the blade runs halfway through the pipe. So when you have the vacuum on there, there's a lot of draft right around here, and it really does a good job. Now, you wouldn't think it because there's a lot of dust on there, but compared to what it was like beforehand, this does an amazing job. Let me show you some of the features of this machine, because I've never seen it in others. Come over in the backside. Aside from being open, each of the wheels, top and bottom, these are big, heavy wheels, have these weights. So each one of these weights, they're dovetailed and they run in a track, and they've got a set screw on them. And you can move those around to perfectly balance. It's a pain in the butt. However, it is very accurate. It's on the top and it's on the bottom. Nice big heavy wheels for all your adjustments. This is your tension adjust. This is what tilts your member. In order for your bandsaw to work, the two wheels have to be in line. The bottom one is fixed. The top one has to be able to go up and down for your tension adjust, and it has to be able to tilt inside and out in order to get your blade. Now, actually, that blade's not sitting where it should be. That should be tracking in the middle. And I haven't been the one using this, but again, really rugged construction. This that bar is 1.1 inch square, so you would loosen it here, and it's got. If you look on the back side, I don't know what you call that, but there's a gear on there. So it's just really rugged stuff. Great the way they built these old machines. That's why I like them so well. They last forever. And then you lock that down. Nice adjustment here. Simply move this guide in and out. Now this one's a little bit different. So if you come over and look at this, there's your thrust bearing, and this is actually running. See, that's actually running on the wheel, and it shouldn't be. So there's always a locking screw on this adjustment. So here's my adjustment that's going to move this in and out, but you've got to undo that locking screw first. So I want to back that off a little bit. And when I'm doing this, I'll just run it by hand rather than risk turning it on when it's open. Now, if you've noticed, that blade has moved to the middle. So I'll go back in here and lock that. And that's still too tight, so you just have to back this off until that bearing is just clearing it. Now what you have here, and this is a really nice setup too. I'm just amazed how many different guide setups there are. So you would loosen both of these, and then there's two bearings that run this way. And what you do is you would simply, this one is fixed actually, so this one has to be brought over to it. And this one's got a little more travel than this one does. You bring that over, so when it's running, you just want it to just barely making contact. And then you would lock that down. And again, so when you're going around a turn, that will keep that blade straight and won't allow it to follow your curve. And it's much more effective in cutting. You got an adjustment underneath here for moving this whole apparatus in and out. And of course you need to line it up so that it's somewhat true, or at least this is parallel to these two guides or bearings on either side. Real simple stuff. What else can we show you on this? Bottom is pretty simple. Big, heavy. Look at how heavy this cast arm is. So nothing vibrates. It's just rock solid. Bearings have grease nipples. It's most stuff you're going to buy today is going to all be sealed or permanently oiled, lubricated bearings. These ones you've got to occasionally go around and grease them. Pretty open. Another grease nipple down there. It's got a really large. Now this one was designed for a double belt as well. We only have a single belt running it, and it works just fine. Base is heavy, cast iron. This was a heavy machine we brought in. The motor's all out in the open. Some of this stuff might not be OSHA approved anymore, but it was when it was made, or the Canadian equivalent. Nice that your adjustments are really lots of leverage on there. Again, big heavy trunnion in here. This one, there's no gauge at all. No, there is no gauge in determining how your angle is, or what your angle is. And no, you can't go that way at all. So all your movement's going to be this way, 45. It is nice to have this extra little piece of table in here. That comes in handy when you're working on big stuff. So you've got 33.5 in that direction. You've got 25.5. No fence on this one, no rip fence. There isn't even a provision for it. Now, all of your tables, because there's a big cut in here, will have some kind of an indexing pin that you put in place after you install your blade to keep the two tables level. That one is actually threaded. This one has a piece of steel. It's actually missing, but a piece of steel that would flip over here, and then you would tighten the two of them. And the Delta has a threaded one as well. A lot of times it's just a smooth pin that just goes in there and just helps to keep the two tables in alignment. Again, we added a little piece on there for holding our lamp in place. Good machine, but I think I'm going to sell it. We really don't use it as much anymore as we once did. Got to get it painted up at some point. That's a 5 horsepower, isn't it? Yeah, it is. That's a big 5 horsepower running that. I'll just turn this on real quick and let you watch. Pretty quiet. It doesn't run at the same speed. Like I said, we brought the speed down. When we first got this thing and you turn it on, the vibration was terrible. And that's why we went through the guy that before me had actually changed the pulleys to slow it down, but that didn't eliminate the vibration. And I must have spent hours in here moving those weights around, trying to get I had a dial indicator on here, anchored to something else, and the needle would move back and forth as it vibrated, and you would have to stop, reposition some of those weights, turn it back on, and hopefully just keep dropping it until it was really close. But really good machine. I don't like the fact that and I don't know why, because it doesn't look like it's ever been modified, but the guard protecting the blade is way up here. That could have easily been extended. In fact, that could have run right down to here. You don't need to be able to see this thrust bearing. Would be a fairly easy modification if we had to. I'll just give you the capacity on this one too. So when that's cranked up all the way, might have 12 inches, not quite, 11 3/4. And as I mentioned, we've got just a little better than 22 inches in the throat. Okay, time out. All right, so tomorrow we'll go through and we'll look at I've got one old General that is actually a combination wood and metal. We'll do that one. And then the next episode we'll come in and we'll start to focus on this. I love this machine. It's probably my favorite bandsaw of the whole bunch. It's just fantastic. I wish they still made them because I would recommend it to anybody. All right, we'll see you tomorrow.